This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for Avoid the Maze, your journey through life. And you know what? We're never going to avoid the maze. We're going to hit those walls. But you know what? If you can look around and see there's another path that you can take, that's what is most important. I have to share with all of you that this past weekend, I went back to Michigan for my, I know this is going to sound very strange, but for my 69th kindergarten reunion. So all of us who went to grade school together, well, not all of us, but a good portion of us got together this past weekend. This is the fourth reunion we've had over all these years. And, you know, when I think of myself back as a young kid going to school, you know, I just kept running into those walls. And what did I do? I sat down on the floor and cried a lot because I didn't know that I could turn to the left, turn to the right, turn around and go back, or ask someone like my guest, Angela, for like a suggestion. What can I do differently? So, Angela, welcome to Avoid the Maze and give us a little bit of background.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Karen. I'm so excited to be here. Yeah, Avoid the Maze. I love that name. Because that's my purpose right now. That's what I'm doing because my gosh, you explained it so well. Hitting walls, taking detours, yes. That has been my life. So how did I end up being a personal trainer and health coach? I well, I have to go also far, far back, not kindergarten,
Sure.
but far. I finished college, and what happened was, yeah, I gained a lot of weight, ended up being unhappy with how I looked. I have a finance degree, so I was a banker after college, and I was very successful. So I ended up in management. And what happened was in that time, I mean, I had my first boyfriend, everything. I wanted to look so perfect. I wanted to have the perfect body. I wanted to perform at work. I wanted to have this great relationship. So from the outside, you saw this perfect life. And behind closed doors, it looked very different. I was struggling, stressed about work. The relationship was more abusive than good. And I just, well, if you have nothing under control, what do? You control those things you can. And what I did, I started controlling my food. I was very hard on myself. I did, to be honest with you, I think if you name a diet, yeah, I did it. I did every diet you can read about, you heard about, and it was painful, very painful, painful and lonely. And yeah, hitting wall after wall, pretending, not living my authentic life. And what happened was I ended up with major health issues. Of course, you can't. You can't bang your head against the wall and expect that this is going to work out.
Right.
So I decided to get my nutrition degree. I wanted to know how this chemistry lab called body works. And so I got another degree in nutrition that was back in Germany. Um, Tried, got into working out, learned a lot about myself, about the body, but still being in that position at work, being in the unhealthy relationship, I started struggling again. And again, talk about a maze, like, boy, here we go. And this time I put a hard stop on everything. And this is very, very radical, but I quit my job. I broke up with my boyfriend. I packed 2 suitcases and I decided I'd take some time out and I go to the United States to learn English because this was always a dream of mine. And I thought to unplug would be a good way of healing. So I came to the United States. I had um, a visa for being a student, took English as a second language, fell in love with the country. Oh my gosh, it was amazing just from the get-go. I love the attitude, the lifestyle, um, the just the culture and the Americans. It was just a for me feeling in the right place. So I wanted to stay. What I did though, again, not going the straight way. I went back what I knew, decided to be a banker and stopped and asked if I can get an internship at a bank. And they said yes. So I got a internship visa, like one at a time,
Right.
figuring it out. And this was comfortable because I was really good at it. Was it my passion? Was it my authentic self? No. But this is what I was really good at.
Sure.
And to be honest with you, that's from my parents. Like they just said, I remember that like it was yesterday. After college, you have three choices. Either you become a teacher, a nurse, or a secretary.
Yep.
That was it. All right. I didn't even question it at the time because I put so much trust in, and I'm sure they had the best intentions. But again, it didn't go how it planned. Anyway, so that's how I ended up in banking. So during that time, I knew that the internship visa is just for 18 months and then I have to go back. So I wanted to make sure, oh, I need a work visa now, step by step. So I remember the conversation with my immigration lawyer, and she said, oh, as a banker, you can't get a work visa. There's so many bankers in the United States. You need some special skills. I said, well, I don't have special skills in banking, but I can lift things up and put them down very, very well. I'm good at bodybuilding. And she said, okay. So if you can get a world champion title for the United States, you can get a green card.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm like, okay, that's a stretch. Um, I did some bodybuilding in Germany, and I was pretty good with my nutrition. I had the education, and I did some small bodybuilding shows back in the days, but I'm like, not that level. But what do I have to lose? Nothing, I said. Okay, that's my chance. So I dialed it down. I cleaned up my diet. I worked out and slept. Like eat, train, sleep, repeat. These were my days.
Wow.
Very, very focused. And I prepared for Miss Florida in natural bodybuilding. And the class I was competing in was called Miss Physique. And, this is the thing. If you do the thing you love and you dialed in, you see what you're made out of and you see your potential.
Exactly.
And boy, I was in a flow. Like there was no tomorrow. Nothing was too hard. It was just a great time. I was in such a happy place. I enjoyed that journey so much, and you could see that on stage. I presented a total package, and I was shining on that stage. And well, I won Miss Florida, got qualified for Team USA, went to Los Angeles, competed at the Miss USA, won Miss USA, which was unbelievable for me at this moment. Oh my God. So I was qualified for Miss Universe. So I'm like, okay, we keep that going. I just do my best. I do what I can do to at least get to the finals. That was my goal. I wanted to represent the United States in the blinged up bikini in the finals and shine one more time. So I did my thing, trained, eat, repeat. And at that show, my gosh, again, it was just a good day. What an athlete wants, just a good day. Everything fell into place. I represented a total package. I enjoyed that day, which was very overwhelming at the moment when I was there.
I'm
Trust me.
sure it was. Yes.
And yeah, I made it to the finals. I remember staying on that stage and they announced fifth place, fourth place, third place, and I'm still standing second place. And then when they announced the second place winner, you can actually see me checking my number, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just won Miss Universe. I won Miss Universe for the United States. So that was how I got my green card. And in that moment, to be honest with you, I felt relieved. I felt so relieved. And when I got home, that was also a show in Los Angeles, I said, enough of banking. This is enough. It's clear now that you're not a banker. You gotta go and get into personal training and health coaching, because that's where your passion is. I'm really good at sculpting bodies. And what happened to me now during all this experience I have now, I'm doing this now for almost 25 years. It shifted. It's not only the look anymore. To be honest, it was at the beginning very vain. It was the look, but it shifted to health. And it goes hand in hand. If you want a healthy body, which you have a different life quality and you want to be in a happy place, the body composition changes as well, and you will change where you want to be. And
Absolutely.
it's such a wonderful thing. And here we go. I want my clients to avoid the maze and actually go and have my support and go straight forward to their goal. And no matter what, there will always be a little detour, but I always dial them back in and we go back on the road. So yeah, that's what I do now.
You know, your message, I think, is wonderful, because when we are younger, we are more vain. It is about, you know, if I'm going to do all this exercise and I'm going to eat properly, okay, then I want to look a certain way. And, you know I was like that when I was younger. Sadly, in my first marriage, I was always told, no matter what my weight was or my body composition, I was always told I was fat. I was always told that I was ugly. Nothing looked
Horrible.
good on me. And when I got out of that relationship, I kept saying that to myself in the mirror. And my current husband of 40 years, he's totally different. And right from the beginning, it was, you're beautiful. You know, you gotta, your weight has to be what you are comfortable with. So when I would say I'm 5 pounds overweight, he'd look at me and he'd say, what does that mean to you?
Mhm.
And when I would tell him that I felt fatigued, that my skin didn't look as good, or whatever it was, then he'd say, well, you have a choice. But never asked me to change anything. It was,
Yeah.
you have that choice. And it's different as you get older, because we all know it's not as easy to lose the weight that you might put on. But it's about taking care of yourself. And that's why I like where your message is, because, you know, I've been working very hard at trimming down for the last year. But I have to think about all the medications I had been on for years.
Thank you.
Threw me out of balance.
Yeah. See, and that's such an important point. We always talk about expanding our lifespan. It's like living a long life. I talk about health span. I actually just looked that up. The average lifespan in the United States is 79 years. The average health span, where people are healthy and able to take care of themselves independently, do the things they love to do, is 63. That's 16 years of difference. That means 16 years of some suffering, of some health problems. And I want to close that gap. And absolutely right. The thing is, when you straighten out the diet and when you take care of yourself, a lot of things are happening in the body what we don't even know, and it goes hand in hand, and it's a certain lifestyle you just need to maintain. And it's not that big of an effort if you create different habits, and you get, again, in a routine, you create your habit stacks and you will be fine. And you know what, this is so fascinating. By creating those habits and healthy habits and living a healthy lifestyle, those voices you were talking about, they disappear. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, did I have those voices? And to be honest with you, I could be so mean to myself. Oh my God, the
Yeah,
self-talk, I would never talk to a friend like this. No, no, no.
exactly.
But to myself, boy, I said all the meanest things you can think of, beating myself up. When I didn't do that, I had food thoughts, always thinking about what next to eat, what next to, it was such a vicious cycle. You can't have the food, you want to have that food. Where can I go next? No, you're such a loser. You can't even stay one day on a diet. Like this whole self-talk, when you go and get the peaceful route, you enjoy such food freedom and a total different mindset. And it changes, it heals the brain as well. It goes hand in hand. Absolutely.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I developed this immune condition, autoimmune condition, and none of the doctors could figure out how to help me. And I finally found somebody, and he said, you know, you've been suffering too long. He said, you just have to try this. We're going to put you on steroids. He said, and I guarantee you that within a year, you're going to feel so much better. Wrong.
Yeah.
I actually was getting worse and worse, and I was blowing up. So, you know,
Steroids make you
I'd be
hungry.
doing these shows, and then I'd go back and look at them and go, where did that fat face come from? And there was that negative talk. It's like, I'm supposed to be getting better, but I'm not. And look at what I'm turning into. So I remember calling the doctor one day and saying, I want to stop the steroids. And he goes, well, we got to wean you off of them. And I said, I'll let you wean me off of them. We're going to wean me off of them. They haven't helped yet. And he kept saying, well, it's not quite a year. It's like, but there's no difference. And the day I did that, we have a stationary bike in our room, and I would ride it maybe once a week. And I just made this commitment. I'm going to ride it every evening.
Hmm.
And I did that for a year. Weaned myself off the medication,
Wonderful.
started riding the bike. And then, you know, it's been dropping off slowly, but it's now to me, it's not about what the scale says. Now it's, I'm taking care of myself. Not only do I ride the bike once a day, I'm riding it twice a day because I want to, not even because I'm telling myself, Karen, you need to do that. I'm choosing different clothes to wear. And yesterday was one example. I was wearing something and it was fairly snug. And, you know, I could feel those handles on each side of me. But I thought to myself, it's okay. Number one, those handles have come down quite a bit, but that's me. That's who I am at this stage. You know, I could hide it, but I don't have to.
No.
And those are the things that get me to taking care of myself better that maybe I'll never get rid of them, but I don't have to dislike myself for them.
Correct. You know, Karen, you hit so many points. See, the thing is, okay, first of all, congratulations for taking those steps and going the right direction. You made a very smart decision. And what happened when you stepped on that bike? I'm telling you what happened. This is now a little bit of science, but I want, like, where's the connection and why is it the right thing to exercise? The whole point is that we always look at body fat, body fat, body fat, body fat. And we are so focused on the scale with a number and a body fat percentage. And in my opinion, that's the wrong approach. We do it backwards. We should actually look at healthy muscle. Most women in the United States are under muscled. And what happens then? What is going on in the body? So if you're not having enough muscle, and I'm not talking about bulking up and getting big muscle, but enough muscle for your health. And if you don't have a healthy muscle cell, what happens? You eat food, you have carbs. Carbs go into your bloodstream as glucose, as we all know. So then the pancreas gets the signal to produce insulin, what it should, yeah. Insulin is the key what opens the cells and gets the sugar out of the bloodstream into the cell. It's mostly stored in the muscle and in the liver. All right. So now, if you don't have healthy muscle, if you never work the muscle, if you don't train the muscle, the key doesn't work. The key cannot open the cell. It can't open the door, so the blood sugar stays in the bloodstream. Now the body has a big problem. That's insulin resistance or metabolic syndrome. So the glucose goes back to the liver, hits the liver, spills over, and we create visceral fat. The visceral fat is the dangerous fat, but that's how it works in the body.
Okay.
Now, the muscle is not healthy, not exercised. The cell is not working properly. Big problem. See, as soon as you start exercising it, the muscle says, oh my gosh, I have to get stronger. I have to get better. I have to get going here because I'm used now. So when you use the muscle, all of a sudden the cells open up and say, hey, we need energy. We need glucose. The muscle is the biggest glucose disposal in the body. It's like a sponge if it comes to carbs. Not using it is a big problem. So that's how you create metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, pre-diabetic. But what else happens? When you work the muscle communicates with almost everything in the body. Now think about it. When you train the cells and they get healthy and they communicate in the right way, how they're supposed to be, they communicate with your endocrine system, meaning you create hormone balance. So you go through menopause in a total different way. Interestingly, when we go through menopause, we drop estrogen, and by dropping estrogen, we get insulin resistant.
Right.
So it goes hand in hand. So that's why it's so important to get moving and helping the endocrine system. Same thing, if you train your muscle, and muscle is heavy, well, what does your bones do? They become stronger. So you communicate, the muscle communicates with the bones, and you have just stronger bones, and you prevent osteoporosis. Huge thing. Same with the brain, cognitive function. It all works together with your metabolism, as I just explained. That's how we get the flux, how we turn around those carbs. And that makes it's a game changer. And that is so helpful. So if you just stay on track and incorporate maybe a little bit of strength training, not much, but just lift some weights, oh my God, you're on track. You're on your path, not a maze.
And the sad part is Western medicine doesn't teach us this. At this reunion, we were talking about when we were younger in gym class and the things that we didn't like in gym class, because none of us understood some of the exercises that we did in gym. And we were all laughing about, trying to climb the rope in gym, and how many of us, we were lucky if we got off the floor, let alone, got up to the ceiling. But if we would have had more knowledge and understand that, when you do sit-ups, this is what you're doing,
Yes.
this is how it's going to eventually make you feel. Yeah, the first time it's going to hurt. You're going to be lucky if you do one. But if you do one today, then you do two tomorrow. But
Yes.
but you're not taught that. You're told, get down on the floor and do 25 sit-ups. And it's like, I can barely do one.
Yeah. Karen, this is also a huge point. You can never start early enough. And I think nowadays, it gets so ignored. And that's why I have very young clients in their 20s and 30s with major health issues, because they're metabolically so unhealthy because they never exercised. And everything is, taking the car, being on the phone. Like, there are so many things not just in our daily activity anymore. And interestingly, it's called NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Big word, meaning if you're just taking the stairs, parking away from the supermarket, just walking, just take walks after lunch, stand a little bit more than sit, just those gardening, being a little bit more active during the day, it improves your metabolism more than as if you would do cardio in the morning like a crazy person, because you're constantly active. But these are little things what benefit you, and we can never start early enough.
Exactly.
Another thing what is just like what people are not aware of is that sarcopenia, the loss of muscle, starts in our 30s. We don't feel it at that moment. It's only 1% per year. But in our 50s and 60s, all of a sudden, we can't open up a jar anymore. All of a sudden, it's just difficult to put the grocery bags in the trunk or putting stuff overhead. Like when you take a flight, all of a sudden, wow, I can't put my suitcase up there anymore.
Right.
That's when you feel it. You can always start. This is the beauty of it, because the muscle reacts at any age. Doesn't matter when you start. So that's the beauty of it. But you can prevent a lot of things if you start early enough. And again, people think they have to spend a lot of time at gyms and invest a lot of money. And to be honest with you, if you have a good support system, I think that's important. If you get guidance at the beginning that you don't hurt yourself, that you know to do the right things. But then if you work out on your own at home, 20 minutes or so, like you doing with your bike
Right.
daily, fantastic. Oh my gosh, this is
Yeah.
amazing. And this is so, so, so beneficial for your body. And you know what? You accomplish something every day. Every day you do something hard. And that's so good for your mind as well.
That's
It's just,
absolutely. We
mhm,
went being gone for the weekend, and there was no gym facility. I found myself just walking more,
mhm,
and standing up more. Um, it was just amazing that when I got home last night and got on the bike after 4 days, that it was no big deal.
yeah,
I was back at it. Whereas in the past, that wouldn't have been as easy for me. But I
see?
knew I had to keep moving. But you brought up a very interesting point. Um, my youngest son will be 34 next month, and he moved for a job from Ohio to Texas. And the job is, he loves it. So, even the stress under it, he gets pumped up for it. But he wasn't even there 6 months. And he called me on an evening and he said, I don't know what's wrong, Mom. I've never had heartburn like this before. And the more he talked about it, I kept saying, are you sure it's heartburn? I mean, heart disease runs in our family. So I'm telling him, I think you should call 911. And being a stubborn young man, no, he wasn't going to. Well, he finally called 911 in the morning. So it was not a heart attack, but he had a gallbladder that almost burst on him. And he, after talking to the doctor afterwards and everything, we figured everything out. And doctor said, you eat late at night, don't you? He goes, yeah. He said, do you eat a balanced meal? No, I usually have a steak or ribs. And the doctor said, no, number one, you cannot eat late at night. No more. He said, and you've got to eat balanced. And he loves all kinds of food. So it wasn't that, he didn't like it. He realized how much pain he had been in, how the surgery had really, taken a toll on him.
Yeah. It's a
And like
wake-up call.
overnight, he changed his diet.
Mhm.
He cooks for himself. And he says, yeah, do I cheat? Yeah, I cheat here and there. He says, but my body then reminds me I've cheated. And he
Yeah.
said, and then I got to start cleansing again. He works out, but he said he doesn't drive himself crazy working out.
Mhm.
You know, if he is on his feet all day, lifting boxes, doing things,
Yeah.
that's his workout.
See, I think an important thing is with this whole lifestyle change, why are we doing this? We want to enjoy life more. We want to have more fun. And by putting a lot of pressure on ourselves and beating, again, ourselves up about the workouts, that's a problem. Same with the diet. I talk a lot about food freedom because I want people to enjoy real food. The emphasis is of real. I'm not telling people to eat highly processed, artificial, unreal food. What harms you so, where you harm yourself.
Right.
But if you eat real food and you nourish your body, you enjoy so much more food freedom. And again, if there is something in the meal which is not 100%, and if you do 80-20, fine, have a life, enjoy, you know, the
Right.
joy cannot be taken away. And that's so important. That's same with like, yeah, if there is a family event, if you have something where you want to enjoy and relax and have a good time, please do, you know, but have some clean food otherwise, you know, enjoy it
Exactly.
both ways.
So how can my listeners find you and learn more? Because, you know, when it comes to clean eating,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like a lot of people have their own concept of clean eating. Um,
Yes.
I have I have a brother who now refuses to eat any fish at all because he figures there's mercury in every fish. And it's like, not necessarily, you know, you've got to check these things out. And it's like, no, I don't have time to check things out. I'm only
Right.
going to eat these things. And like you're saying, at times you wonder, are you really happy? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how can we learn more?
Yes. I mean, oh my gosh, food choices. And yeah, that's my jam. And to be honest with you, I love researching companies. I love finding the cleanest and highest quality food. So that's like one of my big things of expertise. And I coach people one-on-one in coaching programs, and I have courses too where I explain that all. So you can just take the course and do it on your own pace, and you get all the instructions. And you can find that all on my website, houseofshape.com, or you can find me on social media, Health Coach Angela, on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Well, we're going to put all that in the show notes. Let my listeners know if you're ever looking for anything, just go back to the show notes. If you can't find them, all they have to do is email me and I will make sure that they get everything that they need. Angela, thank you for this morning. It was absolutely wonderful. And I'm going to make sure that for my lunch today, I eat a very healthy lunch, especially since I'm back home and I have the control.
Wonderful. Oh, I'm
Okay.
so happy for you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day now. Bye-bye.
You too.